This is Dumbed Down Life number 10. And throughout the entire 10 series, 10 programs even, and yes, we've made it into double digits, which I never thought we'd do, there has only been one presenter that has been in every single show. Good evening, Lance.
Hello, Darren. Yeah, I do seem to be the one constant, don't I?
You are the rock of the show. You are what people are tuning in to listen to.
Either that, or it does mean that I don't actually have any life to dumb down.
I wasn't going to say that.
I thought I would before you did, to be fair.
Well, all I can say, Lance, is that we wouldn't have made it to double digits if it wasn't for you. I think last week it was actually a very close call. Almost didn't make number 9, but it's certainly working. The idea of having the three of us around is very good.
Yeah, well, can I just say that I'd like to thank God.
Don't burst into tears, do a Gwyneth Paltrow.
My friends, my manager, and of course my parents.
The Oscars aren't for another couple of weeks yet.
Without my parents, I wouldn't be here, you know. It's the influence of the Brits last night.
I've not seen that. Has there been any sort of interesting...
You didn't miss much, to be fair.
Well, I was reading on the BBC site this morning about Paul McCartney's thing was fantastic, and Amy Winehouse had the house standing, and... No?
Well, Paul McCartney was good. He was very, very good. The best part of the show, to be honest. I thought Amy Winehouse was absolutely shambolic, but I seem to be in a minority.
You just don't like her in general, or?
No, I like a couple of the songs, but on stage she looked like she hadn't really got much of a clue where she was, or what she was doing, or what timing is.
All right.
With regards to the backing music. She just seemed to be sort of going along on her own little pace, and everybody else was trying to match the beat. Which
was just doing it British style.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed, to be honest, but I don't think she should have come out of rehab so early. No.
Oh, you had to get it in. Yeah, rehab seems to be a very quick thing. Like George Michael, I think he was in rehab for a couple of hours, and it's... Oh, that's what I've been doing wrong. Very sorry. Can I go home now? Yep, sure, yep. Mr. Michael.
You've been clean for 30 minutes. Off you go. Yep, you're cured. Yeah.
I think the problem is there with those things. Like they all sit around their circle, and then, yeah, my name's George Michael, and I'm. Oh, bloody hell! I told you it was him.
Yeah.
I've been sober for the past. What's the time? Yeah.
Isn't that kind of the point of the Priory, though, I guess, that that's somewhere where celebrities can go without everybody sort of peering at them and kind of thing?
I thought the Priory was a Channel 4 version of Top of the Pops that never made it.
No, did you not realise that is where all the drug addicts went, which is why it was such a crap show?
I never heard of the Priory. The Priory is
a clinic for, I wouldn't say it was specifically for celebrities, but I think you've got to have a fair amount of cash to get yourself in there. Oh. And it seems to be where celebrities go to clean up. Yeah. It's kind of like the English version of the Betty Ford clinic, is it, in America?
Yeah. But Betty Ford is a drink thing, isn't it, or is that all kinds of addictions?
I think the Betty Ford probably is drink, but the Priory I think is just addiction in general.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm addicted to Mars bars. Okay, go to the Priory.
Well, it should be. It's interesting that we chose to talk of celebrity, because my topic, although very brief, hardly worthy of the name topic, I didn't have a topic until this afternoon.
Did it taste nice?
Yeah, we're not doing the whole squirrel thing. No. I went to the London Dungeon today with my stepdaughter and her friend, and we went on using the public transport, which was good. And while on the platform at London Bridge Tube Station, I was stood next to one Mr. Ken Livingston.
Red Ken.
Red Ken. Now, the thing was, he was actually quite red in the face, which was what made me think, is this just ironic or what? But he had his scarf over his face. Now, although it's been sort of fairly cold day, it's not been cold enough that it deserves you to have your scarf over your face. So that's kind of what made me look at
day we've had in a few days. Actually,
yeah. So that's what made me look at him in the first place. And then I thought, I recognise him. But it's nice, I think, that the Mayor of London is actually using the public transport system.
Well, given what he's doing with the congestion charge and all the fuss that's being made about it, it does prove that he's not being much of a hypocrite, doesn't it?
Yeah, because so many of these MPs will say, yes, I cycle to work from the Houses of Parliament down to my Mayfair flat, followed by an entourage of security guards and camera crews all in Humvees, and it's like, it's not really working. But Ken was squeezed like a sardine on the not Jubilee line. Yeah, it was the Jubilee line. Yeah, Ken was squeezed like a sardine onto the Jubilee line, like anybody else. And all good for him. I don't particularly know his policies that well to be either for or against him, but I think with regards to stuff like travel, he's certainly putting his...
it shows a certain degree of integrity, doesn't
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. My stepdaughter, of course, had absolutely no idea who I was talking about. When I said Mayor of London, she thought I meant, the full regalia with the triangle hat and the bell and the big jewellery around the neck. And, yeah, the Dick Whittington jobby. But she said, "Ooh, I'm going to go up to him and say, hello, Ken." Oh, why did I bother telling you? Thankfully, we didn't get on that. Yeah, exactly. Thankfully, we didn't get on that train. There just wasn't room. But
so how did you find the London Dungeon?
You just
Don't
get off.
say you just walk there. No.
I keep getting the London Dungeon and Madame Tussauds mixed up because, there's a horror part in Madame Tussauds, which has got all of the famous British bad guys in various prison cells, and sort of a little description of who they were and what they did, and they've also got the Chamber of Horrors in the Madame Tussauds, which they show you the garrote and they show you all the different things and how they worked. And I'm forever thinking that was part of the London Dungeons. London Dungeons is actually it's a horror house on steroids. It's fantastic.
I went probably about 10, 12 years ago with I think it was with the Scouts. We took some cubs down there. Never lost any of them, unfortunately. But
well, they had a maze of mirrors, and I've never seen this trick done quite so well before. They got a whole set of uniform archways. Some of the archways you could walk through. Some of them had mirrors behind them that were at 45 degrees to another mirror. So it looked like you could walk through it, but you couldn't. And unfortunately, because the whole system was busy at the time, and that they were operating at capacity, so there were 30 odd people, it was dead easy to follow the person in front to get through. But I can imagine going into this place on your own, you really could sort of spin you around and get you a bit confused. That would be an interesting one to do out of hours. But it mixes in facts as well as entertainment, and was a really, really good afternoon. It takes about an hour and a half to get around, so it's certainly a great deal of on your feet. So yeah, go to the toilet beforehand. It's not very good with amenities, so if you do need to eat, drink or whatever, then do it all before the hour and a half tour. Right. But the whole thing is a tour guide led thing, so it's not a case of just wandering around and looking at the exhibits. It's a case of you go into this room, they tell you this story, they usher you through into the next room, and it goes around that way. But,
right. I mean, I know. Like I say, I've been to it, but it was a long, long time ago. So I'm fairly certain it will have changed since I last went. But I recall when I went, it probably was more like what the Chamber of Horrors in Madame Tussauds is now, in that they had sort of these displays behind iron gates made to look like prison cells and that, and they had the Iron Maiden in there and a waxwork model inside the Iron Maiden with sort of puncture holes inside it, and the sort of the water torches and the racks and all of that.
So that is exactly what they've got in Madame Tussauds now in the torture chambers there.
So it sounds like they've moved
it from one to the other.
Yeah, they've made, because they're owned by the same people, aren't they? It's the Tussauds group.
Actually, I don't think they are.
Is it not?
It may well have once been at the one time, but it's a very different feel to it.
So, by the sound of that, because I'm fairly certain when I went, it was owned by Tussauds, that maybe somebody else sorted out. So, no, it's definitely the London Dungeon, but I guess somebody's sort of taken it on. Tussauds have moved their displays out and put it in the main sort of Madame Tussauds, and it's been redesigned and redeveloped as part of a different group.
Maybe, don't know. But I know that normally when you go to Tussauds, then it's a whole bunch of promotion on Alton Towers and all the rest of the...
Because that's all part of the same group, isn't it?
But there's no mention of that sort of group on the programme that I got for this one, so that's what made me think that it's not a Tussauds thing.
I would imagine it's not anymore then, and they've moved their displays into the main Tussauds building. Yeah. Which I haven't been to for years, actually.
Well, with the old planetarium and stuff.
I was about to say, is the planetarium still there? Because it's one of my ambitions. I've never got to the planetarium, and given my love of stargazing, it's a bit embarrassing, actually.
Well, did you and I go to the Science Museum, or... I've not done that, have I? No.
That was the time that I couldn't make it down, and you and your brother went. It was
the computer games exhibition thing.
That was it, yeah. For one reason or another. I think I had my daughter at that weekend, and I couldn't come down.
Yeah.
That's I'd certainly like to do the. I'd certainly like to do the planetarium.
The planetarium and the Science Museum, because the Science Museum has just recently had a revamp. Have you ever been to the Science Museum?
Yeah, once. Probably the same weekend that I did the London Dungeon. We came down for the weekend with our local Cub troop when I was a Cub Scout leader. Right. And we did Buckingham Palace, we did the London Dungeons, we did the Science Museum.
So you'd have seen the moon lander?
But it was so long ago, Darren, I can't remember what I did see, so I'll go there again and see everything afresh.
Well, this particular moonlander's been there for years, so it would have been there when you went. It was there when I went with school. It's really been there for a long time. Right. But they've recently just redone that entire hall, so it's certainly worth a visit to go see that again.
Yeah, I certainly would like to go.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's go to the first piece of music. Which is... Oh, it's not Derek K. Miller, because we've already done that one. It's Wreck... So I've scrolled the thing, so it's...
Hang on.
Details. First piece of music is Rex P. Clem, and The Weed is What I Need.
Jim Beam in the morning, Jack Daniels at night. Sometimes need a little vodka, make me feel alright. Lately I've been drinking the Captain's Parrot Bay rum, but I just called my dealer, said, man, you gotta get me some, cause the weed is what I need. The weed is what I need. All this liquor's gonna kill me, cause the weed is what I need. First time that I tried it, I was a much younger man, and now I want to do it anytime that I can. Some folks think it's bad, well, I think that they're wrong. Hell, I like it so much, I just had to write the song, cause the weed is what I need. The weed is what I need. you're feeling bad, just listen to me. I've got the answer for your relief. Don't drown in that whiskey, don't swim in that rum. Just roll a fatty and smoke it till it's gone. 'Cause the weed is what I need. The weed is what I need. All this liquor's gonna kill me. 'Cause the weed is what I need. Yeah, the weed is what I need. The weed is what I need. All this liquor's gonna kill me. 'Cause the weed is what I need. All this liquor's gonna kill me. 'Cause the weed is what I need. Oh yeah, that's what I need, all right.
And that was especially for Radio 1 DJ Grooverider, who has just been sentenced to 4 years in jail in Dubai for possession of cannabis. So he's not going to be getting much weed.
Well, I don't know. Jail's supposed to be one of the best places to get it, isn't it?
Well, something tells me that probably over
Not
there,
Dubai.
given the amount he was caught for, I would suspect that they're fairly hot on it.
How much was he caught for?
He was caught for 2.16 grams, which, from my sort of calculations, I think isn't an awful lot.
2.16 grams. And how long's he in for?
4 years.
4 years?
Yeah.
Ouch! Oh dear.
If you read the article, I'll post a link to the article in the show notes, but it seems that the amount he was caught for was possibly about 1 joint. So by the sound of it, he had a joint in his pocket, and he got caught for that single joint, and that was enough to get him sentenced for 4 years.
Ouch.
I think that's called a no tolerance policy, isn't it?
Yeah, goodness. Well, I wonder if it works. I mean, do they have such a problem with drugs over there? I don't know.
Absolutely no idea. But yeah, I just thought he'd probably need a little bit of cheering up.
Right, and we now come on to the common feedback part, and we've had some feedback this week from Mark, and Mark has said that we were talking about Mr. T and how he'd appeared in a computer games advert. I think this was possibly more in the States than it was over here, but I've certainly seen this particular advert on YouTube since. It was talking about it being an advert for World of Warcraft.
Mr. T in World of Warcraft.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole sort of stream of different actors saying that they play a character in World of Warcraft, and then somebody's had the delightful job of having to make a character that looks like that person. I think that Mr. T was playing a Mohawk blue elf or something like that. You've got this big Ripley-looking elf.
He's an orc, isn't he? Come on, he's an orc.
Well, this is what they say. I'm Mr. T, and I play a Mohawk elf. And some voice off to the side says, Mr. T, there's no such thing as a Mohawk elf. I'm a Mohawk elf. Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. T.
Oh, good God.
Yeah, go to YouTube, have a look. There's some funny adverts on there. But thanks, Mark, for putting us right on that one. Mark does actually do his own podcast as well, although if my aggregator is correct, he hasn't done one for some time. So, yeah, because he picks 3 music tracks and then explains the relevance of these music tracks and the impact they've had on his life. So, yeah, they're quite good to listen to. Again, I shall stick some show notes, stick some links in the show notes, and hopefully encourage him to do some more.
Fantastic.
Right, and the regular feedback information. What is our email address, Mr. Lance?
It is ddl.podshow@googlemail.com.
And the ironic thing is, we quote this every week, and yet I had to try and log into that account earlier to check the email, and I couldn't remember what it was, so I don't think we've chosen one that's catchy enough. The website address is
ddl.podshow.com.
You see the link, the ddl.podshow, yep, it keeps going. Telephone number is 0207 1932 982.
And the Twitter username is dumbeddownlife, all one word.
Right, and it's your turn next.
It is. This is probably not much of a discussion topic, but the space shuttle's been back up in space and back down to Earth over the last 11 days. It delivered the... I can't remember the name of the... It is, but what's it called? It's not Galileo, is it?
It might be.
Or is Galileo the new...
Columbus?
GPS. Columbus, that was it. Galileo's a new GPS system, isn't it? That Europe's putting up. They put the Columbus Space Laboratory up onto the European Space Station.
No, is the Columbus...
International Space Station.
Yeah. Is the Columbus the one that's got the Death Star window in it?
I believe it is, yeah.
Because we saw that sometime last year, didn't we?
While they were building it, yeah. I think that's the one that's put up there, which now makes Europe a fully fledged partner in the ISS. Up until then, we sort of put money into it, but we haven't actually got anything that we built in there. So now the Columbus
Sorry, when you say we built, is it?
I mean Europe.
It's not British then.
It's European. I think
that's okay,
had some sort of input into it, but
you don't want British built stuff in space.
No, although they seem to be talking about it more and more, don't they?
No. Can you imagine if it went wrong? Oh no, that's going to be expensive.
Yeah, a couple of rubber bands and some gaffer tape. It'll be all right.
Well, look at Beagle.
We can't. We don't know where it is. We can't look at Beagle.
Whose idea was it to throw a frisbee at Mars?
Well, it worked during the war, young man. Anyway, so I thought I'd give some facts about the shuttle, because this thing is truly astounding. It looks like a plane and flies like a breeze block.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work very well as a plane at all.
Well, it's a glider, isn't it? It's not a plane.
Yeah, I mean, when it is coming back down to Earth, it has absolutely no fuel on it whatsoever. Yeah. It uses its remaining fuel in space to point it basically at the Earth, and then it pretty much falls to the ground in a very controlled way. Yeah. I just thought I'd give some sort of sense of the figures that you're talking about when it's the space shuttle, because they're huge. Nothing is small when it comes to the space shuttle. It takes 8 minutes for it to get to a speed of 17,000 miles an hour. Ow. Now, that's... just 8 minutes. I mean, what's its 0 to 60? I mean, the engines weigh 1/7 of the size of a train engine. I'm assuming that's an actual front locomotive engine, not just an engine. But it delivers as much horsepower as 39 trains.
Although getting a train to tow straight upwards would be pretty difficult.
Yeah.
Let alone 39 of them.
Yeah.
Turn up on time.
No. Have you ever seen 39 trains? The pumps on the shuttle that suck the fuel into the engines drain a family-sized swimming pool in 25 seconds.
Why would they have a family-sized swimming pool full of rocket fuel? Surely that's just an accident waiting to happen, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's little Jimmy. He's swimming in the rocket fuel. Okay.
Yeah, I hope he's not smoking.
Boom.
Okay. What's next? I'm reading these off a website, and I will put the link in the show notes.
Okay.
The solid rocket boosters generate 7.3 million pounds of thrust at liftoff. And if you compare that with America's first two manned launch vehicles, the Redstone, which produced 78,000 pounds of thrust,
wow.
and the Atlas, which produced 360,000 pounds.
Wow.
So the rocket technology seems to have come quite a long way in the last 40 years or so.
But the payload has also increased. What does it? Have you got there the weight of the the latest?
I haven't got the weight of the Columbus, but let's have a look. Produced.
Does it say that the shuttle can take a maximum payload of?
It doesn't know, but what it does say is that the remote manipulator system, which we're probably more used to calling the robot arm, was provided by Canada. And it weighs 905 pounds, but in space it can move cargo weighing 66,000 pounds, which is about the size of a Greyhound bus.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that
I would have thought that in space there would be no limit to the size of the thing that it can move. Although if it's bigger than the shuttle,
it's still got mass, hasn't it?
Yeah, if it's bigger than the shuttle, as you try and turn it, it's going to turn the shuttle instead of turning
the shuttle. Yeah, it still has mass, so it would be relative, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't actually sort of physically have a weight, but it has a mass. So if the robot arm, like you say, was pushing against something with more mass than the shuttle, then the shuttle would move. I guess. What else? The main engines. The energy released by the three main engines of the shuttle is equivalent to 23 Hoover dams. Now, that probably doesn't mean a lot to any English people listening.
It probably doesn't mean a lot to... I don't like that kind of comparison because
unless you know what the Hoover Dam outputs, you've got no sort of reference, really,
I don't think that many people have got any kind of...
It's okay, I'll edit that one out, don't worry. But yeah, it's just the sort of figures of this thing just astound me. 151 feet tall is the size of one of the boosters, which is the white things on the side of the big orange thing when it's taking off.
Yeah.
Which is about the same size as the Statue of Liberty.
Now, our ages are only slightly different, but do you remember watching the first shuttle going up?
Yes.
With the white fuel tank?
Yes.
And they don't paint the tank white anymore because of the weight of the paint is... Well, it's considerable. When you look at the surface area that's over there, the weight of the paint, it's just unnecessary.
It takes more, because it would take more fuel to get the thing in the air, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so they don't paint it anymore.
You just don't think of things like that, do you? The weight of the paint would,
Also, if you look at the shuttle now, especially seeing some of the fantastic pictures that the NASA have got out to the public, across the nose of the shuttle, underneath the window, you've got a heat blanket now rather than tiles. Again, I think some of the earlier shuttles actually had more tiles all over because they were really going completely overboard to make sure that every single surface on the shuttle was heat proof. Whereas they've measured the temperatures over the shuttle on subsequent missions, and they realised that they don't actually need these big heavy tiles across the nose now. So what they've got is a blanket instead, a heat proof blanket, and you can see that on the picture.
I mean, I suppose when they were designing it, they just didn't have any data to sort of work.
They had data, but they sort of went, well, look, we started off with several thousand pounds of thrust. We've now got several million pounds of thrust. We can afford to be a bit cautious. We don't want the first one to blow up.
No. I mean, the thing about the space shuttle is it's actually a little bit of a failure. It's one of the sort of most astounding things we've ever built, and the sort of time it can turn around to get back into space is pretty fast in comparison to any other sort of spacecraft. But the initial target was for it to be able to turn around within a week.
Oh goodness!
When I think it was Kennedy, wasn't it, who sort of announced the plan for the shuttle, and the idea for it was to be a reusable spacecraft, which it is, but would have a fast turnaround, so there would be sort of 50-60 launches a year. Now, this has never really come about, mainly due to the fact of the cost of the thing.
Well, I don't know about the cost. I've seen numerous shuttle launches get delayed because of the weather.
That's happened more recently because of the problems that they've been having, so they're being a lot more cautious.
Yeah.
Back in the sort of mid-80s...
when they really didn't care.
Well, yeah, exactly. They were taking off in... as long as it wasn't raining or high winds. Now they cancel it if it's cloudy.
Yeah.
But before, they used to take off in cloud. They wouldn't take off in fog or rain or high winds, but they certainly would take off if there was cloud around. Whereas now, they'll only take off in a clear sky. And I think that's because of all the problems that they've had recently and, just to be more safety conscious.
Yeah.
But, it was designed to go up sort of 50-60 times a year, and it's never really managed it. I think the most it's ever done is about 12.
In a year?
Yeah.
All right.
So, but there you go. It's just something that interested me with watching it landing the other day.
Yeah. Well, the shuttle, especially with like the NASA TV, because what you can now do is watch NASA TV, and they'll show you the entire mission as it happens. So to have that running on as a almost a screensaver is great. And you get to hear step by step everything.
I think I watched it on the BBC.
Yeah.
Then they were streaming the images direct from NASA.
Okay, and for the second piece of music, we now have Monk and Superheroes.
just float on air just like the wind blows. You've given
That was Monk with Superheroes. I have to admit that one completely threw me off, because what I thought that was going to be was Last of the Superheroes, which I think is also Monk, isn't it?
No, it isn't. No, we played that a few weeks ago, actually, didn't we?
Did we play that a few weeks ago with the story about the superhero people, or did we just completely miss that link altogether? I think we missed that link altogether, didn't we?
Well, I think we played them did it on separate shows. So,
organisation.
See, we've done that many shows. We can't remember what we did in which show.
That's a good thing, isn't it? It's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And you have one more story, sir.
I do. It's referencing back to what we were talking earlier about London. I'd said that I used to be a Cub Scout leader. Yes. I used to be very heavily involved in scouting. So much so that it was pretty much part of my life, a big part of my life. This year it's the 100th anniversary of my local scout troop. It was started in 1908, obviously, which was only about 4 years after scouting itself had begun by Lord Baden-Powell. So we are one of the oldest, and we were one of the first scout troops in existence. And the group scout leader that was he's basically the guy that runs your local scout troop group, which is all of the scouts, cubs, beavers, ventures, all of that. It's run by essentially a chairman, and he is the group scout leader. And he's also my godfather. Now, this year he's been awarded the Silver Wolf. There's various awards that you gain for long service and that kind of thing, but the Silver Wolf is an award given out at the discretion of the Chief Scout. Now, the Chief Scout, I don't know how much you know about scouting, but the Chief Scout is the head bloke, basically. He is the top scout in scouting all over the world. And it was the post that Robert Baden-Powell held. When the movement went worldwide, he became the Chief Scout, and he was basically the guy at the top. And he's the current Chief Scout.
Tom Cruise?
No. It is. I'm trying to find. I'm reading the email.
You don't know his name?
I don't, because I'm not involved in scouting anymore.
Got people shouting at their iPods all over the world.
Shut
now.
up! Yeah,
Telling you what the name is.
It doesn't actually say who the Chief Scout is in this email, which I'm quite embarrassed about that I don't actually know. But he's awarded my group scout leader Lyle Abbott the Silver Wolf, and I think that's pretty much the highest award that you can get within scouting. So I'd just like to say congratulations to Lyle for his years of service.
That's fantastic. And it is the I know you don't know who it is, but is the Chief Scout leader in the UK, or
I believe
Lyle having to go abroad to receive this?
No. It will be in this country because the headquarters of the Scout Association is in Gilwell Park in London.
All right.
Near Chingford, I believe.
Yeah.
So there'll probably be some kind of ceremony down there. But I would like to try and get an interview with him, actually.
Yeah.
And sort of broadcast that on the show. Because
do you know how long it is that he's been with the Scouts?
50 years.
Oh, 50 years. Oh, blue.
He's been involved in scouting in Earthenborough for 50 years. He was a scout himself.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in his 60s now. I know he's retired, but I don't think he took early retirement, so it's probably sort of 62, 63. And he's been involved since he was 13 and pretty much non-stop ever since.
Nice.
So just thought I'd like to say congratulations to him.
Well, congratulations, Lyle. And with that, we shall wind up today's show just with the regular contact information. Our email address is
ddl.podshow.com. No, it isn't. That's the website address. It's ddl.podshow@googlemail.com.
Our website is
ddl.podshow.com.
That's the right one. Our telephone number is 0207 1932 982.
And our Twitter username is, Dumbed Down Life.
Without the sorry on it. Okay. Thanks very much for listening, and tune in same time next week for another thrilling installment. Bye.
Bye.